Well, welcome to Club Wealth TV. Michael Hellickson here. I am joined by the one, the only Coach Shannon Minsch, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff today. We're going to be talking about how Shannon moved to an entirely new market, literally across the country, about as far as you can go, and had no sphere of influence, didn't know anybody, and grew a business. We're also going to be talking about overcoming challenges. We're going to be talking about the perfect daily schedule that has allowed her to literally triple her business. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the value of coaching and kind of how that's helped her out. So Shannon, first of all, welcome to Club Wealth TV. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Dude, I'm stoked to have you. So let's start from the get-go. So first of all, you're in Tampa, Florida, and so tell us a little bit about your production volume, kind of where you at, how many transactions in your best year, and a little bit about your team there.
Okay, so yes, I'm in Tampa, Florida. I've been licensed for about 7 years. I got licensed right when I moved to Florida from Washington. My best year we'll go calendar year, was last year so far. I did 34 transactions without a team. That was on my own. In January, I did start a small team. And so we are on trend to do about 50 transactions this year. I've had some success in the business this year from my personal life that is unfortunately pulling me a little bit away from the production goals I had, but still staying very, very consistent and making sure that in a down market, Tampa right now is one of the worst markets in the country. Just as far as transactions go. But we are still staying steady with our numbers. And so I'm very proud of that in spite of some personal challenges that are going on in my life.
Yeah, seriously, when you compound the two, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but when you compound the market, the challenges your market in particular has had, as well as the challenges you've had in your personal life, it's awesome that you have done as well as you have this year.
Thank you.
In not only maintaining production, but also in growing a team in the process. So good for you. Well, let's back up a step, and so let's talk about. You lived in Seattle, moved all the way down to Florida, and started a business in Florida. Now, how did you? What was your business model? What was your plan? What was your strategy for getting business in a market where you knew nobody, didn't have friends, didn't have family? You had to start over from scratch with no sphere of influence. How did that work? What'd you do?
So when I got licensed, and I'm going to attribute some of this to where I started. I didn't have much success there, and I'll be really honest about that. But I started at Keller Williams, and I took bowls in Keller Williams. So like as soon as I got licensed, I kind of got a taste of what coaching looks like, right? And at 9 a.m. we would go into Bold, and the person who was leading the Bold training was like, "All right, 30 minutes, call everyone on your phone." And I was like, it's 6 a.m. for everyone in my phone. And because they're all in Washington, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, there is natural migration, right? With where people move. People from Washington move to Arizona. They do not move to Florida, right? Like I'm a bit of an anomaly. In Florida, everyone from New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Minnesota, like that's who we get. And so is it the highest use of my time to be calling everyone at 6 o'clock in the morning in Washington and asking them if they want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in Florida? Right? And then they were like, well, maybe you can find a person in Washington and refer them. Like maybe, but is that really the best use of growing my business? And let me be clear, picking up the phone and making calls and getting used to having awkward conversations, I think is the real lesson. Right? It doesn't necessarily matter who you're calling, but like the statistics on making those calls are already like consistent and reliable, but low, right? You have to make a lot of calls to really see movement. And I kind of felt like by doing that strategy, I was stacking the tips against myself, and I was making those statistics even worse. So I did what you know all too well, and I challenged that man. And I was just like, people from Washington move to Arizona. That's stupid. So let me do something else. And I said, I'm in this Seattle Seahawks group that.
Wait a minute, wait. Hold on. You're in Florida and you're in a Seattle Seahawks group. I think, listen, and we can say all kinds of bad stuff about Seattle. I mean, and you and I both have lived it and we've seen it go from an amazing city to a rat hole. But one thing that you cannot criticize.
That's okay.
What's that?
I said, I still love it, but that's okay.
I'm not saying there's nothing to love there. I'm just saying it's a disaster right now. But what you got to admit, and what everybody in the world must absolutely just concede to, is that the Seattle Seahawks are all that in a box of chocolates, and there are fans worldwide. So, yes, I think that's fantastic.
World champion winners this year. So, yeah. So, at the time, this was in 2018, I had joined a small Seattle Seahawks watch party. We were about 20 to 30 people a game when we would get together, but there was about, I don't know, maybe like 300 people in the group. And so I said, look, I think it's stupid for me to call everybody in Washington at 6:00 in the morning and ask them if they want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in Florida. But I know no one in Florida, have nobody's phone numbers here. Let me go through this Facebook group and can I personally, individually message everyone in this group and ask them, introduce myself and invite them to come out and watch games with me and start building relationships in person. And he said, I hate it, but at least you're being creative and at least you're reaching out and you're getting in front of people. So I will allow it. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's what I did is I went through and I friend requested everyone in the group. And I personally introduced myself. I said, hey, I'm Shannon Minsch, and I recently moved here from Seattle. I've been watching games with the group. Have you ever watched a game? And the reality is that 95% of the people said, no, I thought about it, but I didn't know anyone. And I said, well, now you know me, and I will be there. Come find me. I will introduce you to everyone. And I was brand new. Like I just don't have any fear about talking to people, right? I was just
You're kidding.
I was like, I'll just introduce you to everyone. So I did, right? And we ended up within 2 seasons getting that group from about 20 people a game to about 150 people a game. From largely that activity, we also would do like raffles when people would come and give away different Seahawks flag. A dear friend of mine, Varun, who has since moved back to Oregon, he's back in the Pacific Northwest. He would take photos of everyone celebrating and we would start blasting that on social media. And so our tagline became Tampa Bay brings the party, right? Because it was just a celebration and everyone wanted to be a part of it. And when people would come into town from the Pacific Northwest, they would come watch games with us because they wanted to be a part of the party. And we actually kind of put ourselves on the map as, even though we were the furthest from Washington, as being one of the biggest watch parties in the country and people wanting to come hang out with us and watch games with us. And so I built relationships through that group. And they're still most of my friends today are from Washington here in Florida, awesome. Right? We hang out in the off season. We're super close. And so it really just, I think when you're a transplant and you move somewhere new as an adult, it's really hard to find commonality and connections and friends. Mm-hmm. And so I created that haven on a weekly basis for 6 months out of the year for people to feel like they weren't alone. And that relationship building really launched my business from a building my sphere of influence perspective.
So listen, okay, talk to us about that transition. So, and by the way, first of all, congratulations. I'm assuming your group's about to get a lot larger with the new 9.9% income tax in Washington. I have a feeling you're going to get a bunch of more people moving down to Florida. What's that?
Well, yes. And I thought you were kind of talking smack about the players not wanting to go there, but we've got a Lombardi off that, so I think we'll be okay.
That's funny. So that being said, tell me how you transitioned from, hey, I've got these people in my group to they're doing business with me.
Sure. So I tried a lot of things. Okay. Mm-hmm. And some of it worked and some of it didn't.
So I want to hear about the stuff that didn't work. Talk to us first about what did not work.
Okay. I did the one that did not work. That was like a big bomb that exploded in my face a little bit. And this was after years of knowing these people. So like, understand, I already had the camaraderie. I already had the trust. I already had the relationship. And I decided to do a raffle where if people showed up every week, they showed up, they just needed to scan a QR code and say they were there that week. And it would put them in for a raffle for a signed, I think it was a signed mini helmet or a signed jersey or something at the end of the season. That part was fine. But where I misstepped was if they left me a Google review on my business page. If they referred me a client, they would get additional raffle tickets. And really, like, people go there to watch football. They don't go there to be hustled. They don't go there for your commission. They want to support you because they want to support you, not because you're aggressively asking for it. And so I do think it, like, they did it because they wanted to support me, but it was begrudgingly. And that's not the referral business you want.
So when you say it blew up in your face, what happened? Did you get people complaining about it? Did you what?
No, I could just tell it rubbed them the wrong way. And I think it caused me to take a few steps.
Yeah.
But what it is like, as you get to know people, as you build relationships, people, as long as they know you're in real estate, like, I'm very intentional on social media, right? Like, I post regularly about what I do for business. It's about 20% of my posts is work stuff, 80% is personal, right? So I make sure not to have only work stuff for my posts because it makes you unrelatable. But I do make sure I trickle it in. So I do about 20% of my posts as business posts. And so they know. I have friend requested all of these people. I send them DMs every season going into season. That tells the algorithm that we're besties. And so it pushes all of my content in front of them, right? I'm sending them the birthday messages. I'm very intentional with social media with the people in my group. And so it does tell them that we're closer than we may be. And it pushes my content in front of them. So they're seeing my business. When you talk to someone, ask them what they do. Ask them how work is. Ask them about their Ford questions, right? And
by Ford, you mean family, occupation, recreation, dreams?
Correct. Okay. And so as you're asking them that, like laws of reciprocity, they're going to turn around and ask you how the market is. Everyone wants it. Real estate affects everybody. You do not need to push real estate in order to have real estate related conversations.
That's right.
If you ask them about them, they are going to ask you about you, and it will very naturally come out. People will ask you, oh, how's the market doing? And I'll say, the market's kind of slow. Great opportunity for buyers. We're getting killer deals for buyers right now. I said, my sellers, we're not hitting the numbers that we wanted in 2022, but if we market the property aggressively, we are still seeing really great numbers. I had a house go under contract on Saturday, in 2 days that got a full ass offer. Right. And it was a pretty good price point. It was $735,000 in 2 days. It got a full ass offer. And my seller is ecstatic because we prepped the house properly. She listened to what I said and we marketed it properly and we priced it properly. So houses are still moving if we're not overshooting the market. And that's what I tell people. And they naturally will start talking to me about real estate and having those natural conversations. And so if you're staying front of mind with your sphere and consistently in front of them and consistently having conversations, you are who they're going to use when they have a real estate related need or they have a friend or family member that has a real estate related need.
And so how long did it take you from the time you moved to Florida, but before you were able to essentially support your lifestyle with real estate sales?
With not as much direction without coaching. So let's do that. Without coaching.
Sure.
I would say I struggled for the first 3 years.
Okay.
And then my fourth year, I started figuring it out. And that's and I've been in coaching now for 3 years.
So hold on. So when was it you joined coaching? How long in?
About 4 years.
About 4. So in that fourth year, you joined coaching and that's when you figured it out.
Yeah, well, I
Gotcha.
had a really good month. And so I
Mm.
said, I know I want to invest in
Yep.
my business and that coaching is the way to go.
Hmm.
And so that's when I found you and I joined coaching. I did zero research and I went on Facebook. I was like, who do I need to look at for coaching? And everyone in the group was like, Club Wealth, Club Wealth, Club Wealth, Club Wealth, Club Wealth, Club Wealth, Club Wealth. And so I was like, hey, that's right.
That's awesome.
And I never looked.
Well, oh, hold on. That's not true. There was a moment you looked back, and that was, I could tell you, that was at Ivers in Seattle. I remember it like it was yesterday. There was one moment, we're going to get there in a minute. Okay,
Well,
so
that's an hour. I questioned my decisions for 1 hour.
that's funny. Okay,
That
so
track
before we get
record
into
for
the,
a 3 year relationship. That's a pretty good track record if I've only questioned you for an hour.
that's not bad. That's not bad.
It's so bad.
Okay, so you got into coaching. Tell us the first thing you learned in coaching. What was the most important, or I should say, the very first lesson you learned in coaching that really made a difference and moved the needle for you?
My schedule, by
Okay.
far. Yeah,
Yeah. And so,
locking in my schedule and treating it like a professional business. Like you always hear treat your business like a business, and it's really easy for agents to be like, oh, I work all day every day. That doesn't mean you're treating your business like a business. That means you're an order taker and you're jumping when everyone says jump, right? Treating your business like a business is having strategy and structure and discipline in order to scale.
yeah.
And running around like a chicken with your head cut off is not scalable.
Yep.
And so that's the big difference, I think, between treating it like a business and running a business.
Well, and let's be real, that's also the difference between the agents that are less successful and agents that are more successful is, the ones that are more successful tend to get up in the morning, they follow a schedule, they're at the office at a certain time, they have structure to what they do each hour. And that's not something that most real estate agents do. In fact, I would venture to guess, in fact, it's not even a guess. I would suggest that when you look at the 87.5% of agents that don't renew their license on their first renewal, I would suggest the vast majority of those, it's because they didn't follow a schedule. But
Mm-hmm.
let's keep moving forward. So, okay, so you started following a schedule. You got your production up, money started rolling in, and then you came to a mastermind in
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, the
I
Pacific
did.
Northwest Mastermind Experience, if I remember correctly, which is a Club Wealth event. And tell us a little bit about that. First of all, was it scary for you to sign up for it? Was it scary for you to show up? Was it
No,
okay?
no, because I thought that I was going to go to Washington and I was going to learn some good stuff and get some good nuggets. And I was going to see my friends and go to a football game and it was going to be a write off and it would be a win, win, win all the way around. So no, it was not a hard decision because I was like, I get to go see my friends. I get to go. It was preseason at the time. So I got to go to a preseason game. And it would be a write off. It would be a write off.
And
That's what I
so
thought.
that sounds pretty awesome. Sounds all melancholy and the like. So tell us what really happened.
What really happened, my first big impact at
Mhm.
Pacific Northwest was when you asked Mark Chappell
Mhm.
how much he made last year. And he was like, I don't know. And he's like, net or gross? And you're like, net. I don't care what you made gross. And he said the number and my jaw fell on the ground. And I was like, I am just a little fish. And I did not realize it. Holy cow. So for me, I realized very quickly that I was this very little fish at this table and that I was at a table with ballers and I needed to get my act together and pay attention because I wanted to be one of those. Right. That was
It's
my
humbling.
it was very humbling. And
Mhm.
that was the moment I realized that there's no ceiling to how much money I can make in this
Mhm.
industry.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking no ceiling, I was thinking 100,000, not 1 million plus a year.
Mhm.
Right? Like my feeling, I didn't realize I had a feeling because I thought 6 figures was the number.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize that 7 figures was the number.
Well, and what's interesting is there are people that are now realizing that, wait a minute, 8
There's
figures
more than
is the number.
I know.
Yeah.
But like, calm down. I'll get there. Right. Like I still have a lot of steps, but
Yeah.
for me, like
Yep.
the idea of clearing $1 million a year is not that far off right now.
Right.
And I've seen the progress and the structure that, and it sounds ridiculous to still say that, right? But I've seen the progress and the structure. And so even though I'm not there yet, I know the steps I have to take in order to get there. And I know I can get there if I just follow the system.
Yeah.
And it's mind blowing, but I'm very comfortable in the idea of hitting that.
See, and I think that's really the first step. It's unfortunate, but so often, really, the biggest hindrance is people just don't. They first of all, it's think Napoleon Hill, right? You got to conceive it and believe it to achieve it. Well, at the end of the day, a lot of people can't even conceive it, let alone believe it. And so, first you kind of had to, you had this experience where you're like, wait a minute, what? A million plus? So all of a sudden you started to be able to conceptualize it. And then after a period of time, you started to believe that, Shannon could do it too. Yeah, I think that for most people is the most important step. Once you get to that point, now it's just, okay, what's the structure? What's the system? What are the daily activities? What are the habits I need to be in to make this happen? And then it's just time. It's applying those habits and systems and structures with time, and all of a sudden you get there. And then you get there and you realize, hey, wait a minute. There's another level. I can take it a whole nother level now. And it's not as hard as I thought. What I once thought was impossible now is the expectation is just what you do. And so go ahead.
That with my marathon, right? When I was training for my marathon, I couldn't run a half a mile. And I said, I'm going to run 26.2. And everyone said, sure you are, Shannon. Whatever. Yep. I would say it was my Make the Impossible Possible goal. And it really, that single action, that 4 years of training showed me that if I put the correct system in place and I had the necessary discipline in order to execute the system with small actionable steps over time, I can literally move mountains and accomplish what is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it all of a sudden becomes very attainable when you're starting from nothing and you're shooting for a goal so far out, it's ridiculous. But with these tiny actionable steps every single day, it's just insane how much progress you can make and how far you can really move the needle, and you can make the impossible possible. And it was impossible when I started. I couldn't run a half a mile.
Yeah.
But after 4 years of training, I ran 26.2 on arguably the largest stage in the world. Right. So it really, now I apply that into my business all the time. And it just was like, okay, instead of running 5 miles, 3 times a week or 5 miles 2 times a week and then a long run, now it's just, I need to make calls 5 days a week for this many hours. The same behavior. It's a different activity. Right.
Okay. Yes. And so, okay, let's go deeper on this because so we're in Seattle, we're at this mastermind and, we're having all these conversations. You're starting to have these epiphanies. You're starting to realize, oh my gosh, I can do all this stuff. And then we go to dinner and there's 25 of us. What's that?
I think it was lunch, but yeah. Oh, no, maybe
whatever, lunch, dinner, whatever. But we're at this we're at Ivar's on the water there, this really nice restaurant. And there's 25 or 30 of us sitting at this big long table, and Shannon's sitting directly across from me, or just about directly across from me, and we're having this conversation about what do I need to do. Why don't you describe that conversation for us?
I had to leave to go to the game, right? So I was leaving early. Felt very accomplished. I felt like I got so much good information from this trip. I felt like I was leaving with so much more than I had anticipated. And I was like in this super high. And then you were like, so what are you going to do when you get back home? And I was like, I'm going to make calls. And you were like, no, you're not. And I was like, yes, I am. I'm going to make this call. And you're like, no, you're not. And I was like, yes, I'm here. I told you I'm going to spend the next couple of days with my friends. I'm going to go home. I'm all sorts of motivated. I'm going to make the calls. And you're like, no, you won't. I was like, yeah. And you were like, okay, well then put your money where your mouth is. And if you think you're going to make the calls, I expect you to make 1,000,000 calls.
It wasn't 1,000,000 calls. Come on now.
It was 3 hours a day, 5 days a week for 8 weeks. And I was going from making to making 15 hours of calls a week with a far subpar. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And you're like, no, you're not going to do it. You're not going to make all these calls between now and BSM. And I was like,
and hang on, BSM is our fall event. For those of you that don't know, it's our business strategy mastermind conference. And so there was just about 8 weeks between then and our fall event. So go ahead.
And you said if I didn't make my calls, you were going to charge my credit card $1,000 and you were going to give it to Ron DeSantis.
And you're on the other side of the spectrum politically, and this was not somebody that you supported or wanted to get your money in any way, shape, or form, and it really bothered you.
Despise that man's policies. I think he's an awful human.
And so, dude, I love. And so this got under your skin a little bit.
I'm pretty sure I dropped a couple of F-bombs, and I told you were an asshole.
Now, hold on. When you say that, do you mean loudly in front of the whole group?
Yes, in front of a bunch of tier 5.
And tier 5, for those of you that don't know, there's a lot of people at the table there that are doing 250 to 500 or 500 or more transactions a year. I mean, so there's some pretty baller agents there.
In front of a bunch of ballers, you humiliated me.
Whoa! I didn't stand up and yell.
No, but you were like, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. And I was so embarrassed because I'm like, I'm this little sis who's so motivated. I feel so positive about this. And now you're just crapping all over it as I'm about to walk out the door and embarrass me in front of all of these ballers that I have built relationships with.
So what happened next?
And I called you an asshole. And then I stormed out and I was stewing angrily from the field. I was literally watching the Seahawks, right? Stewing.
Now hold on. While you're stewing, everybody at the table looks at me and they're like, well, I guess we've seen the last of her. Like, there was no question that nobody there believed you were ever going to come back at that point. But go ahead.
Don't tell me what I can't do.
Right? Which I knew was your hot button. And it's like, I'm going to push that button until I get out of you what I believe can be gotten out of you. So go ahead.
So from the Seahawks game, I literally texted you and said, fine, I'll do it. And I did it.
And wait a minute. And what happened in the next 8 weeks?
Nothing happened in the next 8 weeks. But in the next 6 months, my business doubled.
So in 6 months, you doubled your business over the previous year by simply taking deliberate action. And the rest is history. And I got to tell you that has paid you dividends since then. And that's a great transition into our next topic. So you learned the lesson, correct me if I'm wrong, but you learned the lesson that you and you alone control your outcome. And 100%. That no market, it doesn't matter what the market's doing. It doesn't matter what the industry's doing. It doesn't matter what interest rates are doing. It doesn't matter what area you're in. None of that stuff matters. All that matters is what you do every single day. And when you develop the right habits, you are in complete control of your destiny. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah. And so then, and we won't go into exactly what it was, but you had some pretty substantial life events happen. And this is, a couple of years later, you had some very substantial stuff happen in your life, very devastating for you, very difficult for you. And as you entered into this time, tell us, you called me up. You and I had a conversation. Do you remember what I told you?
I don't, that whole time is a fraud. So no, you remind me what you told me. I know it's impactful, but I'm going to screw it if I say it.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, right when this happened, you called me up in the very first conversation we had. I said you need to dive into your perfect daily schedule,
Yes,
and you need to get really, really focused on what you can control in your life.
yes,
And one thing that you can control is what you do every single day, what your habits are every single day, and the
yes.
importance of doing that for the benefit of you and your children. And you did it. You just dove in and you just did it. And
Hmm.
here's what I want to hear, because what I don't believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that it was easy, and I don't believe that it was just miraculously everything was just great and it was awesome. I have a hunch that it was a lot of trudgery and, just kind of, I don't know how I'm gonna get through today, but I'm just gonna do what I've got in my schedule and we're gonna see how it goes, and talk to us about that.
So, one, I'm gonna throw this out. Do you know my why, Michael? Do you know it?
I have a hunch, but I'm probably going to be wrong. So go ahead, tell us.
Okay. So my my daughter, I got pregnant with her when I was 26,
Hmm.
and her father and I were in a serious relationship, and he bailed,
Hmm.
right? And I had at that time allowed myself to be pretty dependent on him because he was pretty controlling, and he left, and I had no option. And I ended up moving back to Washington, right? When I was 26 years old, after being away for many years, because my parents had moved back to Washington when I was in college. And I remember being on the plane on Friday the 13th, and it's like a core memory of crying on a plane, leaving everything that I knew because I had no option,
Hmm.
because I had allowed myself to be financially dependent on someone else. And so all of these years later, my why has always been that I will never be that crying girl on the plane again. And it's interesting because I honestly was at a point in my life where I never thought I would need to, right?
Hmm.
Like it felt like my life was secure and stable enough that I would never need that why, but it was always my driving force. And so that's why I wanted to be successful in real estate. That's why I joined coaching. That's why I've always worked so hard when there was nothing left in my tank, is because I could have never, you can't control your circumstances, right? You can't control the people around you. And like, what if something had happened and my husband died or something, right? Like I would need to take care of my children, and I didn't want to give up everything I'd ever worked for in the event of a catastrophe because I didn't have options. And the
Yeah.
reality is that money gives us options.
Yep.
And so that's why I've always worked that hard. And I'm so grateful that I had found coaching years before my life got kind of turned upside down again. And because it really allowed me to have predictable, consistent, reliable income to support my children. And so now, as I'm kind of sifting through the rubble of what's going on in my life, I'm making decisions based on what's in our best interest and what we want for our future, not based on what we're left with.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
So you're in
And
control. You're moving forward instead of just trying not to move backwards.
well, not being reactive, right?
Right.
Like I'm
Right.
not reactive to my circumstances. I'm not a victim to my
Hmm.
circumstances because
Hmm.
I have control over what that outcome looks like, because I have options, because I've worked hard, because I have consistent income,
Yep.
right? Now,
Yes.
the priority is to keep that consistent income consistent in spite of the external forces that
Hmm.
are pulling you away from it, right? And it's not perfect. When you're going through trauma, when you're going through grief, when you're going through these hard times, you are more easily distracted. You do have more on your plate that you have to figure out, and more details and different things that you need to do. But I get decision fatigue right now.
Hmm.
Like that's probably my biggest hurdle is my decision fatigue. And
Mhm.
so guess what my perfect daily schedule does? It takes the decisions of where my day is away from me. It takes it off my plate. It relieves that it's a pressure relief valve.
Mhm.
And all I have to do is just look on my calendar and do what it says. And it's decisions I'm not making. And it's habits that are so ingrained in me now. Maybe I'm not hitting my 100 calls every day. But if I hit 50, I'm still doing better than if I hit 0, which is what most people would do if their whole life fell apart. They would just let it fall apart around them and allow themselves to be victimized by it. And I think so many agents, when they're coming into coaching and we're hitting them perfect daily schedule, perfect daily schedule, perfect daily schedule, they feel like we're putting constraints on them. But it is the most liberating tool I have ever utilized. And I am so grateful for it because it has saved me during this time. It gives me the ability to put time in my schedule to say, hey, I have to work on this personal stuff. It gives me the power to say, hey, now I've got less help. And so I have to put time in for my children on these extra days. So I don't feel bad when I say no to a client that day because I already have an appointment with my children.
Right.
Right. But it also gives me the time to say, to focus on my business right now. And that's okay. I am not selfish for focusing on my business and making sure my children are fed and my bills are paid and our future is secure. It's not selfish. And it's okay. And I'm allowed to take that time to do it because so many people right now want to pull me away and they get frustrated when I'm like, no, I have to go make my calls. I can't deal with this right now. I need this and this and this from you. I understand that. This is a boundary and it's okay. Like it is liberating. Your schedule is liberating, not constrained.
Well, and the great thing is too that you get to decide what it is, right? And
Right.
so you made the decision, but you made the decision once, and now you don't have to make that decision every single day because you already made it once and you applied it across all days. And not only that, but the money that follows, it's just like working out, right? Like if you work out on a regular basis, obviously I'm not a great example of this, but if you eat right and you work out on a regular basis over a long period of time, and that's the key. It's got to be over a long period of time. This doesn't change everything day one. It changes everything day 100 or day 1000, right? It's all of a sudden you've got this pipeline now that's full of people that you've been nurturing over a long period of time that are interested in engaging with you and doing business with you and referring you. And all of a sudden now you get these transactions coming in and things happen and you're just like, oh my gosh, I got another one. And oh my gosh, there's another one. And it's a direct result of you establishing the long-term habit. Yeah, go ahead.
Pressure relief is that, right? Like we talk about all of these external pressures and stresses and all of this stuff. Money is like the biggest one.
Yeah.
For my children, I have to make sure there's a roof over our head. That is survival. I have to make sure that I can afford the doctor's appointments for my son. To make sure I can afford the medication. Like, where is this money coming from? And when that money gets scarce, that is the ultimate pressure that I don't want. That pressure is suffocating when I don't have a W-2 paycheck to rely on, right? So it's having that money coming in. It's one of those things where you want to make sure you have it before you need it, because at that point, especially in real estate, where we have kind of a 3 to 6 month turnaround of really being able to start bringing money in, right? Like you want to have it before you need it, because if you start doing these behaviors when you need it, it's already too late.
That's right. Very good point.
What has saved me in this is those habits were already so ingrained in me from the last 3 years before my life changed. And so I already had them ingrained. And so I wasn't trying to stack on all of this extra stuff. I already had the system. I already had the foundation built out. And having that, I'm on autopilot now. So I can kind of be in my fog and be doing things at 60 or 80%. but I'm not learning a new skill and trying to establish new habits when the poop has hit the fan.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm already doing them and they've already existed and they're saving me right now. And I'm grateful.
Well, and Shannon, I think also tell us about how important it's been for you to be living below your means. And I think this is something that we don't talk about enough, that I see a lot of agents make the mistake of. They live well beyond their means. And as soon as their income increases, what do? They go buy the bigger house, they go buy the bigger car, they go on more
Right.
vacations, they do all, whatever. But you have been just in recent weeks and months, you have been so first of all, you've been living within your means for a period of time, but now that your means has changed a little bit, now all of a sudden you are making adjustments to ensure that you're again living well below your means. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, that's stressful, right? Like I went from two substantial incomes to one.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a degree in this industry where you can just make more money, but I'm in a rebuild mode, right? Like, I mean, this is the reality. Like, I'm the 2014, 2015 CR. It's like, we took all of our rock star Super Bowl players, and now I guess it'd be 2015, not 2014. But like, I've traded out, and now I have to kind of rebuild everything. But yeah, my income, I was used to two very stable incomes. I have gone down to one, and I am in reduction mode. Like, what can I get rid of? What can I scale back? What sacrifices can I make in order to secure long-term stability? And it's okay, right? Like, I don't need the giant house. And my house is going on the market in a few weeks. There's literally boxes everywhere. Like, and I could financially keep this if I wanted. I don't want to, right? And some of that's emotional, but some of it is because of bills. If I can reduce my bills by $1,000 or $1,500 a month just by downsizing, who cares?
Right.
Just stuff. We can't let our things define us and own us because it's not what the priority is. The priority is that my children are happy and healthy and stable and secure at all costs, right? So I will gladly get rid of the thing. But I had this conversation with a friend of mine the other day because we went out. I was helping him shop for shirts for a work trip, and he was like, he's like, say yes, right? Like he was buying $300 shirts, and I went and looked. We were at Nordstrom. I went and looked at shoes. And I said, water everywhere, not a drop to drink. And she was like, what does that mean? And I said, that means I want all the red bottoms. I want all the Louboutins. I want all of these beautiful things. But every time I say yes to a pair of Christian Louboutins, I'm saying no to my next investment property, which is going to secure my children's future. And that's an easy decision to make.
Yep.
What do I want? Do I want some red bottoms or do I want long-term wealth? And I will choose financial security for my children every day of the week.
See, and that is and first of all, it's extremely mature. But even beyond that, I see so many real estate agents caught up in all the trappings, right? All the cars and the houses and the Louboutins and the watches. That one's the one that drives me nuts. Austin, if you're watching this, forget the freaking watches, bro.
No, Rolex. I do have a fancy car. I will own that.
But I mean, you think about this and you think about all this stuff that people spend money on, and it cracks me up. You see all these social influencers, and they've got the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris, and they're in the rented jet, to show how well they're doing. And I just think to myself, what a joke, man. I mean, they're trying to impress people with money they don't have, and these people that they're trying to impress, they don't even know them, and most of the time, if they did, they probably wouldn't even like them. So why are you bothering? What you really need to go ahead.
Because that was kind of one thing when everything kind of went down the pipes with us and I was reducing. Aaron, my husband's car was costing us almost $1,000 a month. What?
Mm-hmm.
It was literally lawn ornament. Why? Just so fancy in the driveway. For months. Like, cars, like, he never drove. It was the first, it took me a week that thing was gone.
Mm-hmm. That's
A
what I'm saying. And
week.
it's funny. Even even Tara and I, we've had conversations like this recently, and we can afford whatever we want, but does
Yeah.
that mean we need it? Does that mean
No.
it makes sense to keep it? We got rid of the boats and the toys and the snowmobiles and all that stuff a long, 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 long time ago. Now we're offloading our second home. I should say we're moving into the cabin and we're offloading the first home, I guess. But we're doing the same thing, and it's Tara keeps telling me, she's like, Michael, I just want simple. I don't want all the stuff anymore. And it's so liberating to get rid of that stuff. And look, for those that are watching that are thinking to themselves, oh, but I still want the house and I want to blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting nice things.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with working hard and going and getting them. Really, what I think Shannon, you and I are both saying is do it when it's easy. Do it when you've got so much that buying that house, you don't even notice the money's gone, or buying that pair of Louboutins doesn't even impact your bank account, and
Right.
it's not a big deal. And the way you get
And
there is by investing in real estate.
it's experiences and not things, right? And
Mhm.
and real estate is not a thing. It is, but like that's not what I'm talking about. Because it's a appreciating asset that's going to propel your wealth over time. Like that is not what we're talking about when we're talking about stuff,
Right.
right? It's the Louboutins. It's like I have the house full of things and it was bursting at the seams. And I'm like, when did we become hoarders? And now I have to clean it all out and get it out. And I'm like, none of this is important.
Yeah.
None of it. If I could go back, how many houses could I buy if I didn't buy all the crap in my
And
house?
more importantly, what would owning those rental properties have done for you? Where would you
Mind
be
blowing.
today? I mean, think about, it's funny, Tara and I,
Yeah.
we just took out of a couple of our properties here recently, we just took over $1 million out, tax
Yeah.
free,
Yeah.
right? We don't have to pay any tax on that money. And, now we're just going to take that. We're going to go buy some more properties with it, and a couple of businesses with it. But at the end of the day, it's when you own real estate, particularly investment real estate, I'm not talking about personal residence, but when we own
Right.
investment properties and we've purchased them properly and we've managed them properly and they're doing what they're supposed to do, they really do change your life. They really, really do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's something that I think look, everybody needs to look harder at this, not just real estate agents, but it's funny because I think a lot of real estate agents, they are not consumers of their own product. It's like, anyway, I could see you've got some pull happening there. We need to let you go. I want to be respectful of your time. Um,
Sorry.
that's all right. That's all right. Is that Belle?
We're good if you've been. No. It's my parents are here. They're helping with the packing. And so
Got it.
they just needed my key. So I'm good now. They got what they needed.
No worries, no worries. All right. So that being said, at the end of the day, what would your advice be? So you're talking to a new agent today or an experienced agent.
Mm-hmm.
What would your advice be if you could go back and do things over again in your career? What are the one or two things that you would absolutely do differently?
I think you have to attack everything in your business systematically. I
Hmm.
think this is going to be counterintuitive a little bit because I do believe that a jack of all trades is a master of none.
Hmm.
However, I'm going to directly argue with that. I'm going to devil's advocate that. When it comes to pillars in your business, I do think you need multiple pillars.
Oh, sure. Mhm.
And so I just really went hard on my sphere. And the reality is it has paid off, but that is a long-term play,
Mhm.
right? Because your sphere is not always going to real estate needs immediately. And so I didn't do a single transaction my first year because I went hard on my sphere and I didn't have a sphere.
Mhm.
So I went hard on building a sphere from scratch
Mhm.
before, and now it pays off very well. It's the largest pillar of my business, but it has taken me years and years and years of
Mhm.
intentionally fostering,
Yeah.
right? So really, if I could go back, it would be calling for sale by owners and expired every single day. And I would be putting a social media plan together as well as in-person plan together to build and grow and cultivate my sphere. So those are the two things I should have done simultaneously. Now, no one ever taught me how to call expireds and for sale by owners, right? Until I joined Club Wealth.
Yeah.
And so I didn't, like, I always heard that that's something you were supposed to do, but I honestly, like, didn't even know where to start. And I was very
Mhm.
intimidated by it. So I didn't take that leap to, like, do my own research to really say this is going to be my thing. But it's, it's an affordable way where you're not buying high cost leads for
Mhm.
you to get in front of a lot of people quickly and systematically to be able to start converting deals quickly.
Yep.
So
That's huge.
I think calling expired right now, especially where we have so many expireds on the like
They're
available,
awesome. Yeah.
like to me, for like not that much money, you can get lists from expired. Like I use Land Voice is
Hmm.
who I use for expired.
Yep. Great company.
And right. And I literally just stole Austin's scripts. I did not reinvent the wheel. I don't say Coolio. Austin says Coolio a lot. I don't do that. But I'm like, I don't, I'm not a boy in my 20s. Like, I can't think like, when we take it seriously. Right? Point is that he's not being taken seriously and he's still getting it done and he's just keeping it social, right?
Hmm.
I don't say Coolio. It's the only part of the script I have. But I just stole his script and I just call it over and over and over and over again. And I perfect it over and over and over again. And I think doing that systematically every single day and getting in front of people every single day, in addition to building your sphere,
Hmm.
is what I would have done from the very beginning. And I think it would have catapulted my business a lot earlier
Oh,
had
for
I
sure.
had that knowledge.
Well, and you think about the compounding effect. You think where your career would be today had you started doing that day one in the business,
Right.
along with growing your sphere, right? We're not saying
Right.
don't. We're not saying either or. We're saying both and.
Both. Yes.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
both are paramount.
I agree. 100%. You got to diversify your lead flow. So that's fantastic. It's great advice. All right. Now, last question I have for you. What would you say to
Yes.
people considering Club Wealth coaching? What would you suggest?
I think that they should have signed up yesterday. It changed my life and I'm so grateful for it. It's so funny. Like when I talk about you, and this is probably anyone that finds me charming on this podcast so far, I'm going to go ahead and turn that right around. Um, when we were in Leavenworth sitting at breakfast,
Mhm.
I told you that I thought that rich men were the problem in this country.
You said what again?
I told you that I thought rich men were the problem in this country, right? And I tell people that you have been proving me wrong every day since. That's how much you have impacted my life in a
Wow.
positive way. And we can go at it and we can banter and have differences of opinion. But I said, he didn't tell me I was wrong in that moment, but he's been showing me I was wrong every single day and how he was going to influence my life for the better every single day since. And I genuinely believe you. I'm
That is
very
super
grateful
kind.
for you.
Well, and I feel the
So
same about you, Shannon. That's super nice of you to say that. And I love you. Tara and I both love you to death. We're so grateful for you
same.
in our lives. And you know what I'm really not. I want to share this with you, and I want to just share this publicly. I'm not just grateful for you and who you are. I'm grateful for what you're doing for your kids, and I'm also extremely grateful for what you're doing for other people in the industry, both as a coach and just as an example to people. There's a lot of people going through tough times. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that are experiencing challenges right now that are thinking to themselves, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can pull myself out of this. And when I see you sharing about how you've used the perfect daily schedule to take control of your life
Mhm.
and to really turn things around. And again, even when things are really tough and even when it's hard to even just get out of bed, because you've committed to following that schedule, have managed to really continue to be very successful at a time when most people would have imploded. And I think that example is something that needs to be shared. I think people need to hear it.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate that. I really do. And people, you're helping people in ways you can't even imagine. And so thank you for that. I appreciate your
Of course.
vulnerability and your willingness to share. So that
Well,
said, go
it
ahead.
puts you on autopilot, like, and it's not perfect. I mean, I joke. I literally schedule my crying every day. I
Mhm.
schedule crying because I have to cry right now, right? And and sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 15 minutes. I give myself 15 minutes,
Mhm.
but I turn on a song that makes me cry, and I just let myself cry when it's convenient for me. Sometimes the feelings do come out when it's inconvenient, but I find that it's less, right? So everyone's like, "You're a robot. You're scheduling," and I'm like, I am, but I would rather it come out when I am in a place to let it out than when I'm customer facing and it's now impacting my business, right? Like,
Yeah.
and my schedule is not perfect. It is not perfect, but if I would, and I don't think it's ever perfect. I mean, some people get really, really good at it, but I would say I'm normally at what I would say like 75 to 80% of following my schedule religiously, right?
Which, by
And
the way,
then,
is better than 99% of the
right,
agents out there.
right. But with this, with going through tragedy, it's now down, right? Like maybe I'm 40%. Maybe some days I'm 20%. I'm still not curled up in a ball crying and giving up, right? And I think that's the thing that people always, like when you're on a diet, you you eat a cookie, right? You have a weak moment of weakness and you eat a cookie and then you're like, "Oh, screw it. I'll start back up on Monday." And you're like, "Girl, it's Wednesday. You just threw away 5 days of diet. You had a cookie? Like, show yourself some grace. Don't accept defeat. Get your act together, get back on the horse and stick to your house," right? You're going to have moments of weakness. You're going to have moments of imperfection, and it's okay.
Yep.
But don't just throw cause to the wind at that point and give up your goals. Say, "Okay, I diverted and now I need to bring it back." And now all of a sudden your 6% success has turned into 30% of success. And that's still better than zero.
You bet.
Like, we need to allow ourselves to not be perfection and to keep moving forward. Because I think that's the real goal.
I agree. Well, let me ask
So,
this. What's just,
yeah,
and we need to wrap up. We both
yeah,
have
yeah,
to get to our next calls. But the question I have
yeah.
for you really quick, what does your perfect daily schedule call for now? How many hours of calls are you committed to making a day?
2 hours.
2 hours. No, why not three? I thought you were
Mm-hmm.
doing three before.
I was, yeah, because I have a lot of well, it'll go back to 3 as soon as my rental property, I have some trim touch up and then it is done.
Hmm.
So I've been working on a rental property that was mid construction that I had to take on, and I don't know how to do that. Right. So
Hmm.
I had to figure it out. That is almost done. I have to get my house on the market in the next
Hmm.
like 3 weeks.
Hmm.
And so I had to reduce my time right now temporarily so that I can get some of this personal stuff handled in order to, I have to get this, I have to move out of this house over the summer while my kids are,
Sure.
because I
So,
need my dogs out of the house for showings, and my dog is 180 pounds.
okay.
And so yeah, so I need this done during this very short timeline. So I'm down to 2 hours a day. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'm not the most focused. Sometimes I get distracted. It is what it is. But I
Hmm.
go back and I give myself 2 hours that I'm making those calls every single day. So
So
8 to 10.
I'd like to challenge you just a little bit.
Oh,
What'd you say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. What?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, wait, it's not his fault. Although he might be inspiring me right now. I don't know. But watch this. I'm going to challenge you that I'd like to see you do 3 hours a day every day and cut that extra hour out somewhere else, something else out of your schedule that's not as important as making your calls. Because
Everything
the
is
reality
really
is, if
important right
you,
now.
well, but think about this, if you made that extra call every day, then you could hire somebody to
Hmm.
do the moving for you. You could hire somebody to do a lot of the things you don't know how to do, and you'd make a lot more money that way because you make more money selling real estate than they do doing a lot of things you could hire them to do. And so
Uh-huh.
I would like to challenge you that for the next, let's just say 90 days. Okay, next, and when I say I'm talking 90 calendar days, and so really it's less than that because it's only 5 days a week, right? But for the next
But
3 months,
it's literally like my biggest crunch time for these two properties
yeah,
right now.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. Because here's the thing: you never know how well you can do until you push yourself. I mean, think about running
I
that
just
marathon.
praised you. I just praised you, and now you're going to make me mad.
Absolutely, I gotta push the buttons just a little bit, right? Or I wouldn't be a very good coach now, would I? And so
Hate it,
Shannon,
Michael.
I'd like to challenge you to make 3 hours of calls 5 days a week for the next 3 months. Is that something you feel like you could do?
No.
No? Yeah, yeah. Let's rephrase that. Will you do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so watch this. So you're going to do it, and I believe that you'll do it, and I
Thank
know,
you.
and here's why I believe you'll do it. Because if you don't do it, you know what's next. You're in tier three now, right? Or no, you're tier two. You're
No,
tier
I'm in
two.
two. I'm in two.
Yeah.
Don't you make
So
this worse.
so it's not a big deal. It's only $2,000, and so
You're such a jerk.
if for some reason, for any reason whatsoever, you don't
Such
accomplish
a
it, and I
jerk.
believe you're an honest person, so I trust you. You're on the honor system here. You're going to track those hours. It's 15 hours a week is all we're asking for the next, 3 months. And if for any reason whatsoever your cumulative total doesn't end up being that cumulative total, and granted, if you need to, adjust the schedule for a day, maybe the day before you make extra calls, or maybe you got to do it on Saturday or whatever, but you take your cumulative total for the next 3 months. If for some reason that doesn't happen, then we're going to take that money and you know right where I'm going to put it.
I
Uh,
hate you.
I'll
I
just run
hate
your
you.
card and I'll send it right over to DJT and his team, and I'll since I've already given no, I didn't have to give DeSantis your number. That's right, I didn't have to, but
No, you didn't.
I will actually I'll give half of it to him and half of it to DeSantis, and I'll tell them both. I'll give them your cell phone number and ask them to contact you regularly for more contributions in the future.
I hate you.
I know, but you're going to love me in 90 days. And more importantly, your kids are going to love me because you're going to have all this extra money to go do something fun with your kids. And it's going to be great. So I can't wait to hear how this goes. And I know everybody that's watching this right now is excited too. And I'm sure that they're probably commenting in the comments right now how excited they are for you and your new challenge. And they can't wait to see all the good things that come of you accomplishing this. So.
I'm drowning, right? Like, I'm literally drowning right now.
Yeah, but here's what I've also found. I heard, you listen to Jocko Willink or Admiral McRaven or any Navy SEAL or Ranger, or not Rangers, but any of the Navy SEALs or the Delta guys, they'll all tell you that when you're drowning and you think you're out of air, you're actually only 30% of the way out of air. You've got another 70% left in you. And here's what I know about you, Shannon. You're like my wife, Tara. You are two of the toughest women I know. And I know that just when you think you don't have anything left in the tank, I know you're just getting started. So I know you can do it, and I know you
I
will.
hate you.
So,
I will, just to prove you wrong, and because I'm not giving those jerks money. But like,
well, and because you know BSM's coming up, and you know that there's going to be some stage time in a Donald Trump suit or who knows what involved if you don't for some reason succeed at this. I mean, it just is what it is. And who knows? Maybe if you do succeed, maybe I'll wear a rainbow tie or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
so if I'm in charge of your costume coordination that day, you better watch out.
Yeah, I'm not dressing up as one of the village people. I'll just stop you right there.
There's going to be some rainbow taps or something. Yes, it will happen. It will happen.
Right on. Well, Shannon, I appreciate you taking time with me today, and I think I speak for everybody that's watching this and saying that it's been very helpful. And
Okay.
again, I really appreciate your transparency, and I would encourage anybody, if first of all, those of you that have referrals to send, if you know of somebody thinking of buying, selling, or wanting to invest anywhere near Tampa, Florida, reach out to Shannon. Shannon, how would they reach you?
Mhm. So they can me or email me. My phone number is 813-370-6300, or call, right? Text or call back, or email me. It's Shannon at GulfsideHomeGroups.com. That's Gulf like the Gulf of Mexico.
Gulf of America. Sorry, America. Sorry. Gulf of America.
GulfsideHomeGroups.com. Shannon at GulfsideHomeGroups.com.
I love it. That's freaking hilarious. Guys, I will tell you this. I've known Shannon for a long time. I know she'll take great care of your people. And by the way, she does a very good job of getting, the proper commissions that she should be getting, which means your referral fees will not only be very healthy, but you'll know they'll get paid. You won't have to chase her down for referral fees. She'll take great care of your people. They will love her and they will love you for referring them to her. So that said, everybody have an awesome day. Shannon, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. Have a great day.
You bet. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Club Wealth is the only coaching company on the planet that will literally guarantee that you will double your income or make at least an extra $100,000 your first year coaching with us, or we will give you 100% of your investment back. Click the link below, sign up for the appropriate tier level, and let's get you a strategy session today. And I promise you, I 100% guarantee you, promise you that you will walk away with a heart full of gratitude for the time that we took for you because you got so much value out of that call. Schedule your strategy session today. I promise you'll be glad you did.